Welcome to Life in Full Expression with me, your host, Beth Wolfe. In this show, we will explore, elevate, expand, and learn how to live your best life. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to live your life in full expression or create an expansive vision for your future? Get ready to be energized to fully express yourself, discover your heart's clarity for dynamic direction and life decisions, and develop your unique capabilities so you are delivering your ever-increasing capacities into your world. Join me, Beth Wolfe, and unleash the limitless capabilities of your soul, experiencing amazement, collaboration, fun, and purpose. Life in Full Expression starts now. Welcome, you amazing souls. Excited to be with you again today. Thanks for tuning in and investing in yourself. Job well done. All right, what are we going to go through today? Well, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a journey that I'm going through. If you want to go with me on this, I have been increasing my curiosity and practice of trusting my own vibes. And I thought that would be a really great exercise for you to join me. So why is that important? Well, I want to have an extraordinary life. I bet you do too, because you're tuned in here. The other reason why I want to trust in my vibes more, we're going to talk about that, is there are so many benefits to trusting into your vibe. I'm going to talk about what is a vibe, and then we're going to do a little intuitive practice homework I'm going to give you and myself. And I love the name of it. It's called Practice Your Woo Woo, which I have been using with a client of mine. His name's Wayne. And so we call it the Wayne Woo Woo. It's so cool. So that's what we're going to go through in this next 45 minutes or so is, do you and I know how to trust our vibes, especially in this post-pandemic times? This is what we're going to do. So as far as what dimension of expression are we looking at today? We're looking at all of them because we want to trust our vibes in all 7 dimensions. So I love, as you know, I love reading books. There's incredible wisdom. So the book that I'm taking this wisdom from was written by Sonia Choquette, and she has been a master with intuition since she was a young girl. And so she revised a recent book, so I'd highly recommend that you get her book called Trusting Your Vibes. I don't get any endorsements from that or any book, but it's just phenomenal. I'm looking forward to go through it with myself. So one of the things that I've been doing the last 2 months of July and August is really slowing down. Been hitting the pedal to the metal for months and months and months. And it was given to me from all different sorts of mentors and wisdom to slow down in July and August, to really reassess, reevaluate what are my goals, both personal and professional. And I just started asking for direction. Where would I go with this? And it's been repeated to me over and over again from different modes that, Beth, what if you came more from your heart rather than your mind? And I was like, oh, I would love that. I don't know fully how to do that. So this is part of my curiosity and my quest, is to open up my heart chakra more, to come personally and professionally more from my heart. And it led me to this book, Trust Your Vibes. So one of the things that Sonia talks about in the very first part of her book is an extraordinary life, which I truly believe is synonymous with a life in full expression. So as I was reading her definition of an extraordinary life, what is success to her? It resonated with me so much. It's helping me calibrate things differently. And I wanted to share that with you today. Because if you're sick and tired of maybe your core values or your goals, or how, even if you are defining success and it seems like you just haven't hit those marks and you keep missing them, well, join me, because I feel a little bit like that too. Like I've set so many goals and intentions, and it doesn't feel right. It's almost like I'll hit them, but it just doesn't feel right. So let me share with you about Sonia's extraordinary life and how she defines success. It's so cool. So here we go. Here's Sonia's definition. She says that my life is filled with magic and miracles. I am constantly connected to support and quickly led to solutions whenever problems and challenges arise. Meet opportunities at my front door and feel creative and fulfilled in my work. I regularly attract exceptionally good luck, meet the most magnificent people, receive countless bountiful gifts and blessings in the most unexpected ways, and feel connected, confident, valued, and loved. She says that I trust myself, others, and the universe to bring all that will enhance my soul, improve my life, and help me become a better, more loving, secure, contributing person. I am humbled by the endless flow of blessings that come my way. I have had many heartaches, sorrows, disappointments, and much grief, as these are inevitable experiences actually come with our lives. I have never felt alone and have always felt guided through the storm to a better place on the other side. This is what an extraordinary life is. She goes on to say that an extraordinary life is available to everyone because it is our natural birthright. It isn't something we hack into with our clever intellect. That's something that I feel that I've been going the wrong direction recently, is trying all these hacks to go into my intellect. Instead, Sonia says that it's something we surrender into. An extraordinary life comes from connecting with your authentic self, your divine spirit, your inner guidance, and letting this part of you become the navigator of your life. The only way to live an extraordinary life is to, here it comes, trust your vibes. The turn by turn direction coming from spirit, your divine self. This means letting go of the safety of the known, the place of certainty, and control that keeps you small, stuck, limited. It means taking a leap of faith and doing something different. She goes on to say that an extraordinary life asks you to step into the unknown, where you will meet an entire constellation of hidden support that lies far beyond our limited logic and perception. This leap is not into the void. It is a leap back into your true self, and that's with a capital S. Trusting your vibes is trusting your spirit and letting go of the fear that keeps you from living authentically. It's your spirit, after all, that moved you to pick up this book. Remember, I mentioned that at the very beginning. I started asking questions. This is just a trademark of this episode and this podcast is if we ask high calibrating questions, we're going to get high calibrated answers. And I truly feel that I was led to this book by Sonia. She goes on to say, stop for a moment and recognize how true this is, that I was divinely guided to this book. These same vibes will continue to guide you to live your best life as long as you trust them to do so. After all, you followed your vibes this far. And it all came with a question from my heart. It's like I kept signing up for this course and signing up for that and doing this marketing and doing that marketing. And do you ever feel just so scattered in your energy and frantic that you're just grasping at all these different things and trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that? And sometimes if you're like me, you'll sign up for this course or that course and this course, and you don't even complete them. And it's part of just the dopamine dump that you're actually signing up for them. And here I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, here I am, a teacher, an educator, Platinum Life University, all these wonderful courses. And yet I'm struggling with this, and this is something I'm offering to my clients. So I really feel somewhat intuitively blessed that I'm experiencing this myself, so that in turn, I get to help other people and I get to help my clients with this little quagmire that I seem to keep choosing. And I think the reason why I keep choosing that is because I'm trying to figure out things from my intellect, and I'm not truly coming from my heart, my just opening my heart chakra. And just this week, I've taken many walks in the forest or amongst big trees, and the heart chakra is green, and I was like, oh, I'm in the midst of all of this green, and just imagining and feeling that I'm bringing all this in and being led more by my heart. So that's where I'm at right now. And Sonia goes on to say that she entered this lifetime with a clear sense of mission and purpose to teach, or perhaps more accurately, remind others that we humans are spiritual beings with 6, not 5 senses available to guide our lives, and that we need access to the 6th sense, our intuition, our inner guide, to be the best version of who we are and live the best lives. And that's something that I am very curious about, that I am desiring, is to live more tapped in, tuned in to my intuition. It's not something new to me, but I really truly feel that there's some kind of exploring and elevating and expanding going on, so that there is a greater expression of that intuition. Well, Sonia shares that according to her mom, which had a huge influence on her, it didn't matter what other senses told her. The most important one, the one that would guide us, protect us, open doors that appeared closed, connect us to people when we felt alone, even lead us to love when it seemed nowhere in sight, was our 6th sense. It revealed what was hidden and what we needed to know most. And because our 6th sense was in our heartbeat, we could never lose it like we could our other senses. I love that part. In fact, Sonia's mom regularly claimed that the best thing that ever happened to her was becoming deaf, because it's her spirit it saved her spirit from having to listen to all the misery and the fear and the ego nonsense that comes with not tuning into your vibes. So Sonia's mom would say, trust your vibes. Your spirit is all you need to be safe in life. First and foremost, for all of us to check with our vibes for answers, and not with others first, for us to ask the question, what does spirit say? And I have found that when we get frantically busy, we're in this post-pandemic, inflation is crazy right now. The dollar's not worth what it is. And so we're all trying to figure out not just how to thrive, but in some ways how to survive. And so that's why I think my intuitive self brought me to this, is like, I really truly want to come from my heart. And so Sonia shared that a lot of times the answers to these questions would occur in her body. They didn't come in words either. Instead, they came in energetic waves that originated in her heart and spread throughout her body, sometimes settling in her gut, sometimes in her throat, sometimes even causing the hairs on the back of her neck to stand up, always guiding the way. Have you had some of those experiences that I just named off? I know that I have. And her task that she has felt is to interpret these energetic transmissions to understand what they were trying to convey to her. And believe it or not, that was easier than it sounds, because it was so natural to her. Some of us, it's not so natural. And that's what her book is all about, and trusting the vibes, is for us to begin to know this and practice this. So I too have experienced waves of energy come through my body. So often when I'm working with clients, my body will tingle when I know they are tapped in, tuned into their authentic self. Just that comes over my entire body. It's like, oh, you got it. You tapped into what really truly you love and what your answer is. I've had different tones in my ears, and I would love to know more about all of these energy expressions that are coming to and through my body. And again, that's another reason why I think I was drawn to this particular book. There's energy that I have seen before, seeing a rainbow portal that was about 30 feet in circumference right in front of me. And I had people around me, they couldn't see it, but I could see it. And I'm curious about that too. Have you had those kind of things? And I believe one of the reasons, again, that I was drawn into this subject is I'm very curious about exploring, elevating, and expanding my intuition and trusting my vibes, trusting that spirit. So let's take a short break. And when we come back, I want to fill you with the benefits of trusting your vibes, why it is so magnificent to trust that. And it's not just falling into this void. So let's take a short break. Come right back with me and let's go through all the benefits of trusting your vibes. Welcome back, you guys, to this second segment of Life in Full Expression. I'm Beth Wolfe, your host. And today I'm talking about how to trust your vibes and have an extraordinary life in the midst of a fair amount of uncertainty in our world right now. There's a lot of things shifting. Post-pandemic, we've got inflation. It's even a challenge to thrive, and a lot of us are surviving. And so I took some time to really just kind of readjust, come from my heart more than my intellect. And it took me to an amazing book by Sonia Choquette about trusting your vibes. Well, over her decades of experience, she has developed so much about turning on our sixth sense and letting this innate superpower lead our life. And she's created practices designed to remove our ego and resistance. Are you experiencing that? Pique our curiosity and capture our imagination, and best of all, bring about quick, positive results. I don't know about you, but I love that. Removing our ego, removing the resistance, piquing our curiosity, capturing our imagination, and best of all, bringing some quick, positive results. Some of the practices quickly convince our ego that it's safe and actually beneficial to let go of control over our life and allow our divine spirit and our brilliant intuition to take over. So often when I am working with clients, as well as this one too, my own self, is that our ego is very familiar with the current identity that it has. And so a lot of times that's why we experience resistance to change, is that we're just used to and we're familiar with this particular vibe. So she encourages us that with practice, we will soon naturally see that trusting our vibes isn't a reckless or dangerous risk to take, but rather a way to live. Remember in the opening, I talked about we're going to look into the woo-woo, but a lot of people have, criticized her over her life. And I've experienced a little bit of that too, of tapping into the woo-woo. I can remember when I worked in sports medicine for 40 years, there would be times where I would know intuitively what to do, how to do it with a patient, but I couldn't explain it to the orthopedic surgeon or tell that person because it wasn't backed up by data and science. And so I just kept the woo-woo to myself and let the patient have extraordinary results with that. But now we're able to come out with that a little bit more. Now, our inner guidance does a far better job of making our life work than our limited, fearful ego ever can. And right now, in these times, are you experiencing that limited, fearful ego that it is maybe turned up, almost blasting its volume? Well, in the last 8 years of launching my own life, health, and business coaching consulting business, I know that there have been many times I have trusted my vibes, and then there have been times that I am so wrapped up in my head, in the intellect, that I'm, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm trying to figure out the latest, greatest marketing thing so that I can reach more clients and help more people. And I end up pretty much on this hamster wheel rather than slowing down and really trusting my divine spirit. So this is part of my journey that I'm sharing with you, is turning up the volume of my vibes and tuning into it. Because I know when I'm more in my intellect, my energy is scattered, and I don't take care of myself emotionally and physically and mentally. My 7 dimensions of expression start wreaking a little bit of havoc, and I'm not nurturing myself. So I believe one of the reasons why, again, I was drawn to this book by Sonia is where I truly belong, to trust my vibes. And I will want to learn more how to do this and bring this to you in this episode. And I want to deeply desire to come from my heart and not just my intellect, not only for my own extraordinary life, but also in serving and creating impact for people's lives. So Sonia points out, as I talked about, we're going to look at the benefits, that we might feel a little bit uncomfortable trying some of these practices and exercises that she's going to have in her book. And I hope to do more episodes on this book and give you guys some more practices. So she lets us know, be prepared for this, that the ego often doesn't know the difference between different and dangerous. Interesting, huh? Different, dangerous. Our ego doesn't know. So she reminds us to remember this and know that we'll always be safe. And even if we might feel briefly a little uncomfortable at times, we will always feel a bit awkward, like learning a new skill or something. When we're learning that, she's just encouraging us to relax. So I'm giving this to myself as well as I'm giving it to you. And know that if we are feeling this way, that we are, this is the super cool part, that we're making progress, that we're feeling some unfamiliar territory. And the more you and I use our intuitive radar, it's going to get stronger and more precise. And in time, more practice, positive feedback, trust in our vibes, it becomes automatic, and that we soon will be able to distinguish an accurate inner guidance from doubt, fear, and wishful thinking. To me, that's the greatest thing right there. For us to be able to distinguish, to have discernment that this is our inner guidance and it's not doubt, fear, and wishful thinking. Then we're in the limited mind. We just get into this, basically merry-go-round of circle of reason that really never serves us to get out of that stuck, limited state. So here's some benefits, all right? If you want to write some of these down, here's the benefit. You will naturally and spontaneously follow your vibes rather than get stuck in your head, trying like mad to figure out the way forward to no avail. Can you relate? Have you had that experience? I certainly have. Nor will you hesitate, question, second guess, ignore, resist, or deny your vibes as you might presently be doing. Another benefit, Sonia calls this quitting the woulda, coulda, shoulda club of missed opportunities that all ego-controlled 5 sensory people unhappily belong to. I do. I belong to this club, and I have clients that play in this club too, of the woulda, shoulda, coulda. As you and I practice this into our life, this intuition, this trusting our vibes, you and I will quickly experience an undeniable grace. What non-intuitive people call good luck. And this is the natural consequence of listening to our spirit instead of our egos. Just as we can thank Google Maps, here's a great illustration, for navigating us from unfamiliar destination to another and saving us from having to frantically figure our way out in the dark. So too, can we rely on our vibes to relieve us from fumbling with our fear as we move through life? And I love that illustration. It's so comforting when you're in an unfamiliar territory, you're in a car, you're driving, and you got Google Maps going, and then you've got the nice audible directions giving you, in 100 yards, take a left here, da-da-da-da-da. Wow. That feels amazing to have that. And that just thrills me to think that we're sharpening our intuition to have that kind of feeling going on inside of us. Another benefit, trusting our vibes takes the angst out of life. Here we are in 2023, and there's some angst, not only in the United States, but around the world. And it puts our clarity, confidence, and joy in. Gorgeous surprises get to unfold for us. We find ourselves being less influenced by other people's opinions and interference, feeling less stressed and exhausted by fear, doubt, and worry, and being less indecisive. Oh, how much energy do we waste and spend on, is it this decision? Is it that one? Is it this one? Should I do this? Should I do that? That shoulda, coulda, woulda club. Each of Sonia's intuition strengthening exercises in her book, Trusting Your Vibes, is really a blueprint for a new way of living. Our energy will increase because we are removing, hidden burden of fear that comes with fumbling in the dark. Before you and I know it, trusting our vibes will make life and work in ways we never thought possible. The way life is meant to be. Super, super cool. So we get to start this one step at a time. She just eases us into it, and it's important for us to feel safe in these new energetic waters. I love that. There's so many times that programs are out there. It's like, burn the bridges, take massive action, let's go. You will freak out your nervous system, and sometimes you will end up getting just paralysis by you're in freak out mode because you're scared. So this is important. I like this part of what Sonia is presenting here. Only when you and I are at ease will, she gives suggestions in her practice for us to dive in deeper. No practice will throw us into a deep end by asking us to take uncomfortable risks before we are ready. So we get to approach this journey with curiosity. I love that. Just imagine yourself as a little boy or a little girl, a little they, and that you are moving into this curiosity and a sense of adventure. If we put ourselves back in that mindset of a child with that curiosity and adventure, we're not experiencing the opposite emotions of that. So the goal of each tool that Sonia introduces to you in this practice is really for you and I to quiet our ego. And the purpose of our ego is keeping us safe if there is actually danger, but sometimes our ego is turned up all the time and very loud. So these practices will teach us to quiet that ego down and wake up our spirit and help us tune in to the unseen world of energy. Her tools are amazing. It's going to help us shift our identity from ego-centered fear and control to spirit enlightened, lighthearted ease. She explains it like, she gives this example as if we were able to expand our sensory bandwidth from a limited AM radio bandwidth, which represents as the ego, to a more elevated and expanded FM bandwidth, which is represented by our first level of protective vibes. And then she uses the example of ultimately to an unlimited satellite bandwidth, which is the energy from our divine self in the universe. So super cool. We're going from AM to FM to satellite to bring in this huge bandwidth. So she's going to give us this first practice. It's called a woo-woo workout. I'm so excited about it. It's a fun little exercise that we get to do. And it's going to help us anchor what we've just learned so far, that we've talked about in this episode and I've introduced to you so far. Because the 5 sensory people among us who don't yet, I love that she says that, don't yet feel vibes, generally dismiss the subtle unseen world of energy as nothing but woo-woo. And this is the biggest mistake anyone can make. Woo-woo energy opens the way to the extraordinary life, the extraordinary benefits and bountiful outcomes that both you and I deserve and that we can have. So embracing the woo-woo factor frees you and I up from the limitations and stress of facing problems from just our ego alone, which I believe you and I feeling, we end up feeling trapped. We end up feeling powerless when we're coming just from the ego all the time. And this leads you and I instead to recognize all the bounty bringing possibilities inherently hidden in the challenges of life. Plus, it's fun. I like that part. That is one of my favorite values in life is it fun? Because I'll show up if it's fun. I'll do the hard work too, but I love that there's a fun element in it as well. So we get to embrace the woo-woo in our life. It lets the world know you and I are choosing to follow this inner guidance and spirit over automatically submitting to the rules of our limiting 5 sensory ego and that protective self perspective that we have. So, all right, we're going to go for a short break, and then I'm going to share with you Sonia's first exercise on embracing some of our inner woo-woo. It's a simple exercise, and I think it'll be fun that you get to write it down. It's basically personification. So let's take a short break, and I'll be right back with learning some woo-woo. Welcome back, everybody, to this third segment of Life in Full Expression. I'm your host, Beth Wolfe. Today, we're talking about Trust in Your Vibes, an amazing book by Sonia Choquette. I highly recommend for you to purchase it. I don't get any benefits from that if you want to grow in exploring, elevating, and expanding of trusting your vibes. So, as promised, I was going to help us embrace some of our inner woo-woo. And this is one of the first exercises that Sonia gives in her book. And she starts with begin this adventure by identifying your barking dog. And when I first read that, I was like, what is she talking about? Well, here it is. What kind of dog is your ego? What first comes into your, what image comes into your mind? What kind of dog is your ego? Picture its breed and temperament. Is it a nervous Chihuahua or a German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever or a Pudge or, a mutt? I don't, whatever it may be. Is it maybe an energetic puppy? Or is it an old dog set in its ways? What is that? Identify your barking dog. Well, Sonia shares in her book that her ego is a fancy pants poodle named Fifi. So you can already imagine that image. And when Fifi tries to be in charge, she's very snooty and vocal about it. She expects special treatment and has very little patience. She is definitely not her higher self. So she invites us to have fun identifying our barking dog, and don't get too serious. She says, if you laugh, the ego cannot control you. I love that. If you laugh, the ego cannot control you. Some among you will inevitably say, I don't have a dog for an ego. Are you that person? Well, Beth, I don't have a dog for an ego. I have a cat. No problem. Go with the cat. And this is interesting. Sonia says, that just says your ego wants to be special. Just be aware of this. And so, what dog am I imaging right now? You might be asking that. Well, Beth, what are you imaging? And sometimes I think of the image of this wonderful dog that has existed in my life, and his name is Griffey. And he is so playful and so smart. And he can be a bit cantankerous. And I think that would be my ego. Like when he doesn't want to do something, he's not going to do it. You're not budging him. And I feel that my ego sometimes is that way. It can be very playful, but then it can be, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Griffey is a golden retriever. He's just a super, super great dog. Loves to have fun, loves to play, loves the water, but can be very, a little bit bullheaded at time. I think that would describe my ego. Okay. All right. So we got our barking dogs. Now let's turn our attention to our spirit. And what name best describes your beautiful, sacred inner self? Sonia says that she named her spirit Bright Light because that is exactly what my spirit brings to her life. She says, a big bright light illuminating the path ahead so I can move forward with confidence and make the best decisions. So she says, maybe your spirit or my spirit might be named Jewel or Sparkle or Treasure. Again, don't overthink this. It's just a way to find the light in the dark room. So I haven't spent as much time with this question with myself, what image would be my spirit? And, part of it, I always tend to sign my name with this like swooping star. It's just this light that is igniting. And so it just comes to me as even I'm sharing this right now, that it's almost an igniting light. That's my spirit, because I just love to ignite greatness in people. So yeah, ignite light could be called my spirit. All right, here we go. Then after you and I have named our barking dog ego and spirit, she's asking us to begin to notice which one is in charge. Great question. Is Fifi in charge, or is the bright light? Is the golden retriever, kind of cantankerous golden retriever in charge, or is my igniting light in charge? Then these are great questions to write down. And I'll actually, for all of you, I'll put these questions back in this episode. I didn't initially, but I'll go back and fill these questions in so you'll have them. But here's the first one. What brings out the barking dog? So what brings out our ego to that limited, stuck, fear, doubt, worry? What brings that out? And then what brings forward our spirit? Very important questions. And I would invite all of us to be in observation mode on this, not judgment mode. That really won't serve us. Come from a bird's eye view, a 30,000 foot view on this. And also, how it feels in your body. We're going to get to that. So there's a big difference in the way each of these channels feel. How does your ego feel? How does the spirit feel? If you and I are tuned into the ego, we may be feeling tense, threatened, territorial. Your barking dog usually makes a lot of mental noise, like you can't get out of your head. I gotta figure this out. You're just spinning. If you and I are tuned into our spirit, the noise in our head will be much quieter, and you and I will feel more present and at ease. And I think one of the ways that brings my spirit forward is actually physical movement, going for a walk, doing exercise. And then I could actually sit quiet. I do love guided meditations. That helps quiet that mental noise. But for me, a lot of times it's physical movement that quiets my mental mind. So when we're in our spirit, we're tuned into our spirit, we feel physically more open and at ease. Our mental chatter is quiet. Here's another one. We breathe deeply. You probably already know this, that breathing deeply and slowly activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Your vagus nerve is what is turned on, one of your cranial nerves, and breathing deep does that. Another thing about being in spirit is we'll feel present in the moment, so you won't be thinking about the past and you won't be in the future. And I know in a recent episode that I talked about the art of investing your time or spending your time, that some research has shown that we spend up to 60% of our waking thoughts in the past. So being in the spirit, we feel much more present. And our heart feels light and content. And the difference between the two, the barking dog and the spirit, is significant. So you and I get to check in with our body to determine which is in charge. Notice that you're checking in with your body. Sonia's directing us to actually feel and what is going on in our body. I love another amazing mentor out there that I have enjoyed her teaching is Dr. Sue Morter. She continually shares over and over again about check the body, be in the body. And she has a wonderful book called The Energy Codes and does all kinds of amazing work with that. So if you want more information, I would highly recommend Dr. Sue Morter as well about how do I check into my body to determine which is in charge. And you're always welcome to go to www.bethwolfe.com and send me an email. And we can set up a discovery session as well, and I can help you determine how to check into your body. So we want to know how it feels to be in the essence of the barking dog or the essence of our spirit. And so as we come in for a landing today, I want to leave you with a little bit of woo-woo wisdom from Sonia Choquette. And she says, listen to your spirit, not your barking dog. So there it is today, Life in Full Expression. I'm so glad that you joined me. Remember that powerful questions bring powerful answers. Look for those high calibrating questions from a bird's eye view. Don't just look at it being a bug in the rug where your circumstances, conditions, and situations are crowding you all around you. Allow yourself, lift yourself up above it. I invite you, let's get curious. Let's tap in and tune into our spirit. So Embrace that woo-woo exercise, name that barking dog, name your spirit. Have a fantastic week, and I hope to see you again in the next episode. Take care. Thanks for tuning in to Life in Full Expression with me, Beth Wolfe. Tune in each Monday at noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Be your most elevated self and pursue a path of fulfillment, clarity, expansion, fun, and living your best life. If you would like to discover the 7 dimensions of your life blueprint of expression, to fully express yourself, reveal your heart's clarity for dynamic direction, and activate your unique capability, visit BethWolfe.com. That's Beth, WOLFE.com.